How many years ago was the first one?
2001. So next year will be the 20th anniversary.
Damn. How old were you when you played the first one?
However old I was in 2001.
So like 6?
Something like that, yeah. Sounds about right. My brother's best friend. My brother's best friend's older brother. Yeah, my older brother's best friend's older brother basically got Halo and the original Xbox together, like midnight release the day of, and beat it that day.
Interesting.
And then that older brother was like 21 to his younger brother's like 9 or 8, but the younger brother was allowed to play despite the fact it was an endgame. And that younger brother was also allowed to bring the Xbox and the game over to my brother's house, because I happened to be my house as well. And that basically they would play it co-op most of the time, but they let me play it a couple different times. And I always watched them play it as they played it. And that was how I first played Halo. And that worked out until my mom realized it was an endgame, and then no more Halo after that until at some point, maybe within a year, when 2003, of when Halo 3 came out, they finally let us play the first two. My brother ended up buying them both, and we played the crap out of them. Well, most of it. We played every non-flood mission a lot because we hated the flood, and they scared us. It wasn't until
Is that the main reason?
Yeah. Well, they are annoying to fight. I still don't like playing the flood mission. It's still not fun. I don't enjoy it for the most part. Every game, it's like basically as they went on, the flood got less and less annoying to fight until finally they just stopped appearing, and that was the best. But then when Halo 3 came out in 2007, I think, we got that. My brother got that the day it came out, and I was doing homework, and he came home, and it was on Friday. He was like, "Stop doing homework, we're playing Halo." And we put it up on our big screen TV in our living room. First time that went doot, 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 doot. So as the campaign started for the first time. And then we played that all the way through. And we never managed to beat it on Legendary together, but we beat it on Heroic a number of times. And then from that, I went back and played Halo 1 and 2 by myself all the way for what might have been the first time. It felt like the first time.
That's awesome, dude. Then you've had it your entire life, I guess.
Yep.
Basically, if you were like 5 or 6 when it came out. So that means, and I was thinking about it, like I didn't realize that a lot of people have had this game since basically as far as they can remember. In fact, like right now, their first memories could literally be of this game, and that's why they love it so much.
Yep, it's a big part of it for me.
Yeah.
It's not my first memories, but like, this game was the epitome of cool.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't have it growing up, so I didn't have the community that was like built into this game. But from the way people talk about it, it's now I kind of understand more and more exactly like what Halo itself means to them.
Yeah. And I'll probably use this audio for the intro episode because the intro episode we'll eventually record that's basically what podcast intro episodes work, right?
Right.
They're usually crazy short. It's just them describing. Ours would actually probably be longer than usual, but it's just them describing like the premise of the podcast and what they're gonna do with it. For us, we would do that, but then it would just be because like the whole.
Oh, dude, I'm stuck. Oh, damn.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, okay.
We're back.
I thought it was like trapped in a wall or something.
But ours would be a little longer because it's kind of the intro to us too. Because the whole like So you know how that guy is that Marine that just talked to us. He has a Australian accent.
Yeah.
So that's the only Australian accent you hear in every Halo game. It's the same guy, and the character, like the name for his Marine is Chips Debo.
Chips Demo.
And Chips Debo has acquired a bit of a meme legend in the Halo community, and he is often thought of as a god because he somehow survives the first Halo and inexplicably appears in Halo 2 and 3, despite the fact he should be dead like 10 times over and shouldn't have been able to like get from any one place to the other.
I love little bits of lore like that.
But no, all the like recurring Marine voices, they all have names in the first 3 Halos, and I've always really enjoyed that.
So all the people up here.
No, so the random NPCs that don't have names in game but do have voices. The voices that recur throughout the first 3 Halo games, they all have names. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So they're never named in game, but they have random voices, and they repeat. So like Captain Keyes' voice actor goes on to voice Sergeant Stacker. Other game.
Oh, I think you're right, but like, does he like speak differently in that one?
Oh yeah, it's like hillbilly redneck.
Okay, yeah.
Drill sergeant.
Because I feel like this Keyes voice is so iconic, just like because of the way he talks too.
Yeah.
It's like so commanding. It's like perfect for this role.
Yeah, it is. And I had no idea they were the same person. I knew them both like by name. I didn't realize they were the same voice actor until someone pointed out.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Honestly, I wouldn't know unless you told me.
Exactly. And I'm sure others might, but I didn't. But anyway, so like our first episode, it'll be like what we're doing, but then also who we are, because the like not twist, but the little catch that kind of makes this interesting in theory, hopefully, is that you're playing these games not for the first time, but you're playing them having never played them before, like as an adult playing them for the first time, whereas I've been playing them since I was a kid. And it's that difference in perspectives that's the kind of like catch of the podcast.
It's a good dynamic.
I agree. I like the idea a lot. Which is why I kind of like we were batting ideas back and forth. That's why I kind of settled on this one to start with, because I liked it. It was something interesting, something we both knew, and it had an end, etc. You're gonna go back and kill them, aren't you?
I haven't done it before.
Here come the Marines.
Oh! Okay, I'm alive.
I'm dead. So part of that intro episode will be us, telling our stories of like our experience with Halo. Does that make sense?
Yes, dude, I'm still alive. Are you?
So
You're dead?
No, I'm dead. I died almost immediately.
This is so hard. Okay, I'm gonna die. There's like 8 guys in here.
Yep. I got hit with a grenade right off the bat. But so part of that episode will be explaining that that's the twist, and then explaining basically to us telling our stories, Halo stories. But yeah,
dude.
And then all growing up, it must have been a while before Halo 3 came out that we got Halo 1 and 2. I think we had what?
Was 2 for 360?
No, it was the last Halo on the original Xbox.
Oh, interesting.
And Halo 3 was the first one on 360, and it came out a couple years after, like a year or two after the 360 came out. And but we got, so yeah, we played it on someone else's console. We brought it over, and then however long later, a year or two after that, we got our own Xbox for Christmas one year, and then a year or two after that, finally got we're allowed to get Halo 1 and 2. And we played it so much because that was kind of like that was kind of the only thing that me and my brother really did together in a lot of ways. Like there are more. It's not literally true. Like our kind of bonding activity was playing video games together. So we were always searching out and trying to play co-op games, like split screen co-op games. And Halo was our favorite. Halo was like the split screen co-op game, which honestly, that's part of why our friends let us get it.
I honestly think that's probably like the biggest reason as a parent to like get your kids a game station that you know you're never going to play would be for the kids to have like a bonding moment.
Now, my kids don't have that because it's never something I'm not going to play.
All right. It'll be Xbox till the end. And this game is the reason.
We have and want, like, I want a PS5 and I want a Switch. So, like,
you know, I'm kind of down for the PS5. I'm like, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm kind of leaning like I want it.
I will always be more of an Xbox guy than anything else. In large part, that's because of Halo. But I want, like, God of War. The new God of War. I need to play it. I need to play it.
Oh, that's right. And there's going to be a new one, or the one that you already told me about?
The one I already told you about.
Yeah, okay.
And because PS5 will be backwards compatible.
I'm excited because I've been hoping, because there's a lot of good PS4 games that I want to go back and play.
Yeah, and there's some other, like, if I get a PS5, there are other games I'll probably eventually get and play as well. But the real reason I'm getting it is God of War. The new one specifically. Newest. It's not exactly new anymore. But yeah. But then, so like, I never got to play Halo 1 or 2 online. You actually couldn't play the original Halo online on the Xbox. It didn't support it. They hadn't. So Halo, the first Halo was the launch title for the original Xbox. And even though they had kind of built the console to be able to handle online stuff, they hadn't finished the like software side of things, of it actually working.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of, there was a old Xbox magazine. There's an old Xbox magazine, or just a gaming magazine that talks about like 100 reasons to get an Xbox, like for the original Xbox before it came out. And one of the things that I found really impressive about what they listed, it was like they were talking about all these things that like it's not like there were a number of entries that were, this feature isn't quite ready, like, you know, games can't really quite support this yet, but it's built to be able to do it once they can. And internet access was one of them. Being able to play online was one of them.
That's cool.
Yeah. And
that's so unique to our time.
Right? And it was crazy reading through this. The person that was, the YouTuber that was, it was Alana Pierce. I don't know if you know who she is.
It's familiar, but I don't know.
She worked for, I think, GameSpot, I think, for a long time. And now she does her own stuff and has her own really big, successful YouTube channel. She's like a game news person. But her going through the list, one part I didn't really enjoy is she was kind of laughing at it the whole time. Like, wow, they had no idea that these things are going to be crazy big. But, like, that was what going through the list was. It was, like, all these things that are now, like, super commonplace and super just, like, the standard. Consistently, the Xbox, the original one, was the first one to do them all. And just, like, reading through it was just crazy. It's like, wait. Like, one of the big sells was that you could have a headset.
I can't imagine playing any game nowadays without a headset.
Right? And it's just like, wait, they were the first to do that? That's crazy. Gaming online on a console, they were the first to do that. That's crazy. And so Halo, the first Halo didn't have it because they didn't have the internet set up. Like, didn't have the software side of it set up yet. But then Halo 2 was the first video game ever to have online, was the first console video game ever to have online play. Like is the norm now. PC games had that already, but it worked vastly differently.
Right.
And so that like the matchmaking side of Halo, like that was unique, and they were the first person to do it, etc., etc. Like just that's the thing with the first 3 Halo games that none of the others will probably ever be able to match, is just how pioneering they were.
I don't
Like,
think they ever will. I think they try right now with like the larger than life like graphics, but I don't think it's the same thing.
It's not the same, but I just don't think any video games can be as pioneering anymore.
No, I think you're right.
And it's just because, and that's not necessarily a dig on any modern games that like, oh, they can't be good as the past. It's just we're not still building video games from the ground up anymore. They've been built, you know, like gaming as an industry has been established. Whereas when these games are coming out, it was still being established. But like, just some crazy. You're not playing on a controller, are you?
No, I'm not.
I can't not play Halo on a controller.
You know,
but,
I guess it's one of those things. Whatever you're used to.
Yeah, and it makes sense. But like, so also I should say the version of Halo they made for the PC had online multiplayer. But on a console, it was just you could in first Halo you could only play on LAN, so you had to have cables connecting it on a closed network. You could have up to 4 consoles connected at a time with 16 people playing. And that's a lot of how the first Halo, like, that's how it spread in a lot of ways. It was the like friend party game, word of mouth game. So many Halo YouTubers and podcasters are like, yeah, first time I played Halo was as a kid at my friend's house, whichever Halo that was. Usually the first one in a lot of cases, but just a lot of fun stuff. But for example, now you have not played many games on a controller, is that right?
I PS2 like classic games, but
okay. So I'm not sure how much of this will. I don't know how much you'll feel the significance of this, but
hey, my wife is calling.
Halo was the first person shooter on a console that like all the stuff that's normal for first person shooters on a controller was made by Halo. So it was the first first person shooter game to have the two weapons at a time limitation. It was the first game to have for the controller to have an aim assist, what's called a soft aim assist. And if you've ever played a console first person shooter with a controller without any aim assist, it's impossible. Like you can't hit anything. But with a hard aim assist, you don't feel like you're doing anything because it locks on for you completely. But with a soft aim assist, basically, it helps you out and kind of guides you, but it's still you. And they were the first, and that's the norm now with console shooters, and they pioneered that.
Yeah, with console, it's really helpful.
Yeah.
With mouse and keyboard, not as helpful.
Yeah. So other like controller things they pioneered, the left trigger being the grenade button. All that's like standard normal now. Well, that standard has been replaced in some games now. That L will be the aim button, the left trigger is the aim button. But the idea that the grenade has its own button and wasn't a weapon that you switched to, that was Halo. An easy bash button, just all these different things. Halo started it, and it's just crazy. So like, first-person shooters before Halo, you would have like, look at the top of your keyboard, all the number buttons. All of those would be their own weapon, and you would switch to a weapon either with a mouse wheel, like one at a time, or you'd hit the number of the gun you wanted, and they were all assigned. So like, you would start out with a pistol, then you get a rifle, that would be number 2, then you get a grenade launcher, that would be number 3, and as long as you had ammo, you'd always have those weapons at every point of the game ever at. And your fist, so melee, would be number 1 or number 0, and then grenade would be another one of those buttons. and that was how first-person shooters video games worked. And the inability to do that is why shooters were never very popular on console, because it was difficult to manage that. Does that make sense?
Can you hear me?
Oh, my mic was off. Yeah, makes total sense.
Okay.
I was trying to tell you, but the mic was muted.
Poor guy.
I feel bad for all of them every time.
Right? I love Chief's response though. It's perfect. It's just hand on shoulder, not saying anything. It's like I can't promise anything.
You know what? If you
no.
that little moment where he like puts his hand on the guy's arm and just doesn't say anything and just moves on, that is amazing because
Right?
he has no idea what's about to happen and it doesn't look good.
Yeah, reassuring without false promises or expectations.
Exactly.
It's also a big, like, a lot of people like to make the claim that Master Chief has little to no characterization in the first 2 to 3 games. But
I think it's so short-sighted when you
Not
actually look at what he
true.
represents.
yeah, well, it's just like he doesn't have characterization in the same way he does in later games, but he still has so much. Because he has so much, like that hand on the shoulder, just in his actions is how most of his characterization happens, and they do it really well.
God, falling onto
It's a lot more subtle
right.
in the first 3 games,
Right.
and they did that on purpose to keep him as a sort of like player insert character, but
It just the embodiment of like that stoicism of like I'm just gonna heels in, grit my teeth, and do the best I can, and work up enough. Just that attitude is amazing.
yeah,
And like Master Chief just embodies that like through and through.
yep.
You can't not do it at least once.
Right. You ready? Jacob?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?